after 25 years. It feels weird to say, but I'm finally closing the first chapter of my life. It's strange to accept, but honestly it feels right. I spent nearly 11 years questioning everything about myself. My worth, my path, what I've been doing with my life, where I'm headed. I was suffering. I was stuck between what I was doing and what I should be doing. And the answers always seem to slip through my fingers, just out of reach from me. But to be honest, I think even if the answers slapped me in the face, I genuinely don't think I was ready for them. I wasn't even in a place where I could actually use them. I think that's where a lot of people are, to be honest, in their lives. It's so easy for us to just say, oh, nobody has any idea what's going on, or we're all just trying to figure it out. But the truth is, we know. We know exactly what's holding us back. We all just get wrapped up in the day-to-day, worrying about all these little things and getting stuck in these routines and avoiding risks because they scare us. But that's just survival, right? That's not living. I know how hard it is to take a step back and try and see the full picture and really understand not only what's holding you back, but how you are holding yourself back. That's what it comes down to. You're holding yourself back. When life gets too comfortable, you feel it in your soul. No matter if it's good or bad comfort, when it gets too comfortable, you can feel it. You just know that you can be doing better. You might not have this exact blueprint, clear step-by-step guide of how to change your life. But think about it. If it was someone you love asking you for guidance on how to improve their life, be honest with yourself. Not one thing that you do in your life would you advise to them to improve their life. You wouldn't tell them to carry on scrolling on their phone. You wouldn't tell them to not exercise, or not drink enough water, or not eat the right foods, or you wouldn't tell them these things because you know that they're not good for you. We know exactly what is wrong, and we know exactly what we do to ourselves. And yet we just continue to do it. It's like a weird form of self-harm in a way. These crossroads appear in your life all the time. It's like life's way of testing you. See if you're actually ready for change. See if you're really, honestly ready to make the difference in your life that you know you need. These crossroads appear pretty regularly in life. They're like life's little way of testing you, challenging you, asking you, are you truly ready for the change that you know you need to make? And it'll make it very apparent to you. It's like you can test the water, but if you truly want to cross, you need to make the leap. So many times I've encountered these crossroads because I knew what I needed to do, and yet I just didn't do it. And so every time I fail, you just get pulled back, yanked back from the crossroads, usually deeper back into the same shit that you've been doing. And life waits until it thinks you're ready to be presented with the crossroads again. Every time I got presented with these crossroads, I'd try and step one foot over and, test the waters and not fully commit. That's when I got yanked back every time. It never worked. Now finally, after a decade of suffering, of chronic pain, hating myself, everything I was doing, this crossroads appeared yet again. Every time it's hard when the crossroad comes up because it's a test, it's life's test. So whether it's you losing someone or something, or everything's falling apart, everything's crumbling, you get super injured, it's always a tough one. It's life's way of asking, are you ready yet? And no matter how many times you get asked that question, when you know, you know. And this time, I knew. I've been faced with a lot of these turning points, of these crossroads, a lot of opportunity to change. So I've learned a lot about them, about being tempted, about feeling weak. But this time I was ready. This time I knew. I wasn't just dipping my toes in. I wasn't just testing the waters, I fully jumped over and stepped into the new path, the new chapter of my life. When I first came to Australia, I had no plan, I had no idea what I wanted from life. I knew exactly what I didn't want from life. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew that I had to change my environment. I've been very fortunate to have seen a lot of the world. I really have. I've only ever lived in the town that I grew up in 2 houses, 5 minutes apart from each other. It's like I couldn't escape chapter 1. I couldn't move on from my life unless I escaped and lived somewhere else. Now, this trip really has changed my life. Not because of all these beautiful sights or crazy experiences or adventures, but because it's truly opened my mind up to who I am, who I really am, and where I'm headed. I couldn't be more grateful. Because when a lot of people go traveling, it's an external exploration of searching the world and finding all these cool places and doing all these things. But for me, this has been a purely internal exploration. And sure, I might have been able to get the same result from just moving out and staying by myself back home, or going to the town over, or somewhere that's not quite 10,000 miles away, But I'll never know. Because this is the path that I took, this is the path that I chose. The final crossroad for chapter 1 of my life appeared in the form of getting completely blackout drunk and forgetting almost 48 hours of life, which has never happened before. The lease for my house was almost over, and I had no idea where I was going to stay. I'd had a constant, disgusting cough and sore throat from smoking so much. My brain was like mush from smoking so much weed. I've always smoked weed, but here I was just doing nothing and just an absolute frazzle. And my tooth got infected. It was not pleasant. Now, these 5 things combined was the final crossroad. I knew it was time to make that step. I did not want to carry on living like this anymore. It all comes down to this. Deep down, you already know what you need to stop doing. Simple as that. You know what changes you need to make, no matter how big or small or comfortable or scary. You know. These are all just pages in your story, These are all just pages in your story. And when it's time to turn to the next chapter, you'll feel it. Because when you know, you know. And you've always known.